podcast.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome to the Dynasty Stock Market with Bigz and DFK. How you doing, DFK? On the precipice of this impending Sacramento Kings NBA championship, how you feeling?
Wow. Yeah. Tip offs tonight. But yeah, man, the way you start that podcast, you're about to take it to a serious tip, Sunday slow jams style. But yeah, man, some crazy NFL action. But hey, I am excited for NBA, but we got a long season for that. Today's more like the LeBron son debut game, Bronny James. It's more for the glamour type of stuff for the opening tip off. So we'll focus on NFL for now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, and it's every father's dream to play in a major sports league with their child. For most of us,
Jr. brother or father son duo will be there too. So
who's that?
Ken Griffey, father and son, will be in attendance for that game. So it's a rare thing to happen.
Yeah, and but on the football side of things, NFL careers don't really last long enough for that to happen. Could you imagine like Marshawn Lynch and his son like
Frank Gore was close
in the same backfield? Yeah, Gore was close. That's about it. But you have to be Frank Gore and play for 30 years. Frank Gore, the Adrian Beltre of the NFL, where they just plod along, and 20 years down the road, you go, "Oh my God, he's a Hall of Famer."
Yeah, a quarterback would be the best chance, probably.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Come on, Aaron Rodgers, time to have a kid. Oh wait, it's still not. He doesn't have enough time. Who's got enough time? JJ McCarthy, he's got enough time.
There you go.
If he has a kid right now and plays till he's Tom Brady age, he can play with his kid.
Boom.
Yeah. All right. So what's happened in the world of Dynasty Fantasy Football? Any major news or anything happened last night during the Buccaneers game?
No. Oh wait, Chris Godwin, broken, shattered ankle, unfortunate and brutal, and something that they don't show on replays for a reason. I hate to see that. This was the wide receiver one. It's not his first time doing something like that. This is a guy who completely rebounded his value from dynasty perspective, but the Buccaneers as a team, they were off to the races, looked pretty good, putting up a ton of points. And actually right before that, his teammate Mike Evans went down with a hamstring injury. He'll be back, but really sad times for them. But it's a dynasty show. Obviously, that hurts him, but they did draft a rookie who you might have a couple thoughts on. So let the people know how you're feeling about Jalen McMillan.
Absolutely. So Jalen McMillan was my flag plant for 2024. Now, I was scouting this guy in Devy Leagues a couple years ago. My dog's really upset about the Godwin injury.
I feel his pain.
So, and I don't know, can you hear that leaf blower in the background? Should I close this window?
I can almost never hear leaf blowers when people mention it on their pods. The dog, you can hear. But
of course, he's a loud boy. So like doing my scouting in Devy Leagues and everything, I have and also writing. So I'm writing these articles that are basically pitting Devy assets against each other, and I was looking at like teams. So we're talking like Jamar Chase and Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors, or it was Egbuka versus Marvin Harrison Jr., and then Rome versus McMillan. So I got to the Washington one, and I start digging, and I'm looking at Rome Odunze, I'm looking at Jalen McMillan, and this is coming off a 2022 season in which Jalen McMillan led the Washington Huskies in total yards and in touchdowns. This is in a wide receiver room with New England Patriot Jalen Polk and Chicago Bear Rome Odunze, who was one of the darlings of the wide receiver class in 2024. So I start honing in on Jalen McMillan, and I'm looking at the environment and everything, and everybody's talking about Rome Odunze because he is considered the alpha. But in Ryan Grubb's offense at University of Washington, Jalen McMillan was the producer. Rome Odunze was the guy. He had the cachet. He had the name. but Jalen McMillan was the guy that was actually going out there and getting things done. So I started writing articles about, hey, when you start going into your Devy drafts, when you're targeting the 2024 wide receiver class, what you need to do is allow other people to focus on Rome Odunze, because you're going to be getting similar, if not better, production from Jalen McMillan at a discount price, basically. I can't say nobody saw him coming. He was definitely more under the radar than Rome Odunze was. So what happens? 2023 starts. McMillan is gonna have like my breakout season for him. He goes down with an injury. Jalen Polk comes in. Suddenly, nobody's talking about Jalen McMillan at all. They're only talking about Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk. Perfect. He fell even further. It couldn't have been. It couldn't have played out better for me that Jalen McMillan, this guy that I was like fully invested in, fully sold on, drops another round or two further in the rookie drafts, in the NFL draft, etc., because the talent is overwhelming and undeniable. So throughout the preseason, he's buried on the depth chart. He's got Trey Palmer in front of him, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Godwin is top 5 wide receiver. Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer. Nobody's talking about McMillan. Suddenly, Baker Mayfield starts coming out in camp talk and saying, this guy is so polished. I love the way he uses his hands to catch the ball. I love the way that he uses his body to box people out. He gets that internal separation that we talk about. And we're going to talk about George Pickens a little bit later. But you don't get the yardage separation on the field. You get the body use and the separation internally when you're trying to make a contested catch. And Jalen McMillan was doing that. And the maturity that he was flashing in Buccaneers camp, Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield did nothing but just extol his praises. Then he gets hurt. Now we're entering week 8. And what has happened? Well, he's had to work himself back from injury. Todd Bowles comes out and says it's hard for rookies to do that. If like every week as a rookie that you lose, you just fall further and further behind. But then he goes out in week 7 and he gets 8 targets. He only had 3 catches, but he had 8 targets. Now we're dealing with Mike Evans. He's going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks probably. Chris Godwin, ugly injury. I didn't see it in real time, but when I was watching a little video clip that showed a replay of the play, I saw his foot wobbly and like sideways.
Yeah.
As he's going down. And it was just for a split second. And I went, ooh,
yeah.
I'm glad I missed that because that's bad. And it wasn't a lingering shot of it. It was very quick and it's very bad. It's like full break and dislocation of his ankle. He's done. It's going to take him a while to get back on the field. Those are the kinds of injuries. That's the kind of joint injury that, you can recover from and start to run and stuff. But when it comes to cutting and things like that, it's going to lead to more soft tissue injuries as he's trying to get back. So we're talking about an extended like two-year rehab for him. Well, internally, the Buccaneers have a guy who's going to be able to line up in the slot. He's going to be able to line up on the outside. They can put him wherever in the formation that they want, and he is going to be able to succeed wherever they put him on the field. And he already has the skills necessary to be that go-to guy for Baker Mayfield. And Mayfield recognizes it. So no matter what you do, you need to target Jalen McMillan. If you don't already have him, he's probably on a waiver wire in some of your deeper leagues and some of your redraft leagues. When we're talking about Dynasty, you got to get on it today with some of the people who, maybe they're not so up on the news, because over the next 48 hours, all the talk is going to be about Jalen McMillan. They're already talking about the Buccaneers. Oh, are you looking to like go bring somebody in? And Bowles is like, yeah, we're going to have to consider everything. So now is the time to strike while the iron is hot. Take advantage of where his value is now and go get Jalen McMillan. I'd pay a second rounder for him at this point.
There you go. Yeah, I missed out on an opportunity to buy low. I just had an offer of McMillan and like a third for Sanders, Jatavian Sanders, but I just took the second and the third for Sanders because I was in a rebuild. I was like, let me just get these picks, not worry about these receivers. A little bit shallower of a starting lineup, so it kind of plays into it there. But after this, you got to go out and get McMillan. I was definitely high on the talent. It seemed like all three of those receivers from Washington had the ability to potentially be wide receiver ones on their team. They're all getting an opportunity to potentially do that here in the near future.
Yeah, and I don't blame any of the people who were thinking that it was going to be Jalen Polk to rise the quickest. Everybody recognizes Rome Odunze's talent. I don't dismiss Rome Odunze's talent. The dude is a stud. But he's on a team with a rookie quarterback who needed some weeks to start to come into his own.
Yeah.
He's got a target hog in Keenan Allen. He's got DJ Moore. So and Cole Kmet. So how about that Cole Kmet, by the way? Somebody was talking about Cole Kmet and how he's never going to give up on him. But so there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, which is fine. And and Rome Odunze is going to have his weeks, and that's all well and good. But it's not like a Malik Neighbor situation where you're looking at it and you're going, he's got this third tier wide receiver who's the next guy in line or the target leader or whatever, similar to Polk and Demario Douglas. It's McMillan's show now, and he's going to have to step up and get over those lingering injuries and become a pro like this week. So
Go get him.
I'm counting on him being able to do it. Now the funny thing is, I want to say it was Football Guys. Somebody, they have this thing where they jinx a player, not on purpose, but every year they find a flag plant and they go all in on the dude, and then something eventually happens, and so that turned into them now calling out, well, you said this about this guy, so that's the jinx. And so this year when they came out and they put out their little short that showed that Jalen McMillan was their flag plant jinx, I was like, oh no.
Oh, hey. Well, it could also be a sell high situation. let them have a good week, but I don't think you'll be letting go of your bags anytime soon.
No. Now let's dig into it. I'm gonna look real quick and see if there's any Jalen McMillan movement today. Amari Cooper is currently the number one trade target over the last 30 days, and I don't hate that. Now I will say I have been high on Khalil Shakir all year. And Amari Cooper did get the touchdown the other day, but Khalil Shakir came out with Amari Cooper in that offense, and that offense kind of unlocked Khalil Shakir. He had the most targets and the most receptions that he's had all year, and it was absolutely due to the fact that Amari Cooper is in that offense right now.
Yeah,
so don't sleep on Shakir.
Shakir had missed the week before with injury, so he came back healthy as well. So. That could be the top two targets right there. It is definitely, and yeah, man, really that makes sense with Cooper. Only 19% snap share, I believe. So he's only ramping up. You saw that the running game was increasing as well. Like Ray Davis is still actually usable even with James Cook back in the lineup. But anyway, just back to the trade market before we get too far off. How's it looking for McMillan?
So today he has gone for a third and a fourth, packaged with Mason Rudolph for DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if I mean, if
Hopkins has like 0 points with Levis, so you can't take any Titans player. So
I would give up DeAndre Hopkins for Jalen McMillan, and take on Mason Rudolph and then drop Mason Rudolph. McMillan and a second for Aaron Jones. I don't know if I do that. McMillan and Jawan Jennings for a second. I'd be on this second rounder side of that. And then McMillan and Ayuk for Devonta Smith. I love Jalen McMillan, but I like Devonta Smith more.
it's still that's where we're looking little trade database. Yeah, I think uh, I'm not paying the second right now. It depends on the situation. Like I think you can because it's probably just he's a young player. He's going to get plenty of opportunity this year. I understand it. I've said it on this show before. I do prefer to try to save a little bit of that capital for later in the season, at least right up before that deadline if you got one, to try to get a running back that I need because it's been a little bit easier to replace some of these receivers. Uh, as much as we like McMillan, his teammate Trey Palmer could get some usage. We saw them still, for some reason, go to Sterling Shepard. I'm not even talking about those guys really. There's other teams where there's some wide receivers that could help, whereas it's a little bit harder for me to get a running back sometimes. But I play ZRB, and there are guys that pop up, so it is what it is. I just don't love giving that second, knowing this next class is pretty loaded with some running back talent.
So here are two that went down. One yesterday and one today. McMillan straight up. The first one was yesterday for Kareem Hunt.
Okay.
Which side do you land on that?
Yeah. So for win now, I mean, Kareem Hunt looks like a workhorse running back. Like that's what I prefer is that type of player. Just give me the running back. I don't love Kareem Hunt obviously for any aspect of it other than this like next 6 games or whatever.
And
but I'll take it. Give it to me.
McMillan for Alexander Madison.
Yeah, I'll take McMillan there. Yeah. And I can't remember if we said this before show or after show, but like this is, this team could trade for somebody. It's not all wheels up quite yet, but that's why the buy low exists because there's a little murkiness.
Now Alexander Madison is a funny one because in our waiver wire show that drops today over on a different network, I finally gave in and said, go pick up Alexander Madison, which means that moving forward, Zamir White is going to win the job back and Alexander Madison is going to. So do with that what you will.
Yeah, it's rough. The Chris Godwin team manager had offered a deal before that, including Zamir White, who I had dropped previously. It's like, I don't want him. I'm sorry. I know it's your Raider guy, but I've already moved past Zamir White. And yeah, I mean, Madison, I know it's a similar bet to like Kareem Hunt almost, but I'm still leaning on like good offense with the Chiefs. Like, at least I feel like it'll be good. Like it just is what it is. Like, I'll take that bet on a Kareem Hunt versus Alexander Madison. Maybe they score similarly. I just feel a little bit more confident about the Chiefs situation.
Well, what's kind of funny about that Raiders situation, I don't want to belabor this because nobody cares, even me. But for the 8 quarters that Aiden O'Connell was the quarterback, and this speaks to what I have talked about before about somebody with the ability to throw the ball down the field accurately, puts the defense back, and gives the running backs a little bit more room to run. We're seeing it with Drake May and Ramondre Stevenson. We see it with Rachaad White. Like, I mean, he looked phenomenal last night. And I said, don't give up on Rachaad White. The 3-headed monster thing is just basically coach speak for it's Rachaad White's job and he's going to earn it back. But for the 8 quarters that Aiden O'Connell was in there, all of a sudden, Alexander Madison was more efficient. He was getting more yards per carry. He was doing work. Then O'Connell breaks his thumb. Minshew back in. Zamir White and Alexander Madison once more can't get anything going. And now O'Connell's out. Minshew's back in. They go pick up Desmond Ridder. It's a garbage fire that nobody wants to be involved in. The only asset at this point maybe there's some Jacoby Myers upside, but other than that, you're looking at Brock Bowers, and that's it.
GOAT.
So
the GOAT, Brock Bowers.
Greatest of first 7 weeks. Not I wouldn't say all time.
Well, then I'll have a trade I want to ask you about later about Brock Bowers, or I can ask right now.
He's the Goff 7 Okay, let's talk about the Steelers for a second.
All right.
It's the other part of the thumbnail. We've been waiting on George Pickens, and we know his skill set. We know what he can do as far as his route running ability, as far as like how he wins against coverages. And he just has not had a quarterback that can get him the ball in certain situations until Week 7, Russell Wilson returns, gets back on the field, starts throwing up prayer balls that he knows that George Pickens is going to come down with. Now, George Pickens, over the first 6 weeks of the season, was one of the leaders in the NFL in unrealized air yards. So they're getting the ball to him. He's making catches. Those catches are getting called back by penalties, ticky-tack stuff, whether it's pass interference calls because he's being interfered with. So we know that he's a weapon. He's a monster. All of a sudden, he starts to have the breakout that we've been expecting, and Russell Wilson is the unlock for George Pickens. What do you think about the George Pickens situation? What are you looking for moving forward? I don't have to worry about it because I have him on so many teams. I've just been waiting for him, and he's finally arriving. What are we doing for George Pickens?
Like, what's the policy on victory lapping? Like, when you're wrong the first 6 weeks about a player, there's Ray G. Yeah, trust the Trinity, man. Yeah, then hey, week 7, we're back. Because all off season I was saying, this is Tyler Lockett. This is Russell Wilson's Tyler Lockett, man. And we never got to see it. But I felt like that was what he needed. I kept saying he would be throwing those moon balls over the shoulder that only a Lockett could catch, or maybe only George Pickens could catch. But I was thinking that Wilson was going to start week 1. That's what I was wrong about.
Correct.
I was very wrong about that. And then now we're here, and hey, I love it, man. So
yeah.
Shout out to everyone who stuck with them, because I did see him start to get dropped there in some redrafts. But I think we're back after 3 touchdowns from Russell Wilson. I don't see them going anywhere, man. So let's go ahead, fire up Pickens in our lineups, and yes, I'm trading a first for Pickens. I'm in.
And
I wanted to before, but then it seemed to like Fields was going to keep the job because they were winning. But once they just made the heady move to just go ahead and move on for what was best interest of the team, and I bet you Pickens is barking in the background like, I need to get my numbers up for this contract. So yeah, I love to see it, man.
And you're not alone. So far today, we have a Brandon Ayuk and a first rounder for Pickens. That's definitely like, hey, give me something now, and you're gonna reap the rewards next year. Pickens for McLaurin and 26th third rounder. Also, shout out Ray G. What's up, buddy? I've been a long time viewer of Ray GQ and his show. Good to have you on mine. Appreciate it, buddy. All right. And shout out Dallas. Yeah. Shout out Dallas, Scott Fishbowl.
I need to do the Dallas Scott Fishbowl. I'm born and raised in Dallas, but I ended up going to the Denver one because I won it from the football guys raffle, and that's where Dave Kluge was at.
I'm hosting the Sacramento or NorCal Scott Fishbowl next year, so you should just fly out to that.
Yeah.
Not to tease or anything, but I'm efforting Latu and Keelan Doss to come and speak and do raffle stuff. I know Latu's grandma and Keelan Doss.
Right. Real personal connection. Nice.
There's an FCS running back. His name is Lan Larison. I've talked about him on the show before. He had another 250 all-purpose yards this weekend. He's 2025's Dylan Laube, and I've been talking to him. Once the season's over, he's going to come on my podcast, and I'm going to try and get him to get all the former UC Davis NFL players, Keelan Doss, Colby Wadman, Joshua Kelly, have them come on my show and then help me with the Fishbowl next year. So while we watch him enter the NFL draft, and Lan Larison is he's a stud. He's destined for practice squad bouncing and some special teams work. But as far as an FCS guy, he's 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, and he's averaging 200 yards a game all purpose. So not terrible.
Hey, go chase your dreams, man. He's about to reach them.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Pickens. I talked about him all summer. We saw this coming with Russell Wilson. We discussed Russell Wilson's catchable throws versus Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett's catchable throws last year. The fact that Deontay Johnson was on his way out or had left. So we saw it coming, and now it's here. So go out and get George Pickens.
Let's go.
All right. So I want to talk about trades real quick. I have a trade that just went down this morning, started last night with some negotiation, and I got a little slideshow that I'm going to share with everybody, and I'm going to walk us through this. So last night, fairly late, let me get some of this branding off so you can all see. Yes, the
turn to the Mac.
All right. So, yes, that's Ty Dave's Hunting Ladyboys, you guys, is the name of because our guy who the league was created for, I created the league. He missed the draft last year because he was dealing with some gastrointestinal stuff. So the league was called Dave Has Diarrhea, you guys. This year, he missed the draft because he was flying to Thailand. So Dave's Hunting Ladyboys. Anyway, so I get this offer in my inbox, and it says Khalil Mack for a 27 third and a 25 fifth. And it's IDP. I'm not in a hurry to do it. I just kind of let it sit and didn't do anything about it. So then last night I get this. Are you interested in trading for Josh Allen? Who's not? It's a 2-quarterback league. It's not super flex. It's 2-quarterback. I have Dak Prescott and Jared Goff and Aiden O'Connell. And of course, I with Dak on bye, I had to start Aiden O'Connell. He breaks his thumb. I get 4 or 5 points, whatever. It was an emergency starter thing. Dak's coming back next week. He and Goff both have their buys. But, I mean, I can handle Allen is QB4 now, but his offense is opening up. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So the standard value for Allen at this point is 3 firsts, right? So this guy says approximately 3 firsts and a second to third, or the same value in younger players. And I'm like, it's a little bit steep. But I proposed. I added that Khalil Mack trade, and then I threw in a 25 first, the 27 first, the 26 second, 26 third, and added Josh Allen to my side. Now, and said like that to him. So my thinking on this is it's the Khalil Mack trade. That's fine with me. I'm not giving up that 26 first, which is important. And at this point in this league, I am, with wins and losses, I'm tied for first. I'm a little bit behind in points. So I think I'm third in the league, but the top 3, we all have the same record. So it's a playoff team. I'm making a run for it. I can give up some capital, cash in, and then sit on my winnings for a couple of years, right? Then continue the rebuild. And I can't continue a rebuild beyond next year if I don't have first round draft capital. So I wanted to, I'll give up the 25th or the 25 first. I'll give up the 27 first, but give me that one in the middle. So he says, yeah, that's getting there. I'll see what other people want to send for Allen. So now he's trying to leverage me. Oh, I've got other people that I'm talking to. So we'll consider it. And then he comes back with another offer. He adds Taysom Hill, who I just picked up off waivers. He adds Ladd McConkey, who I'm, in Dynasty, I'm super, super high on. He adds that 26 first back in there.
Gotta have it.
He's pushing. And he says, this is my first live offer, meaning this offer between he and I is the only one that's going on. He's waiting on another one. And I push back. No, I'm not giving up McConkey, and I'm not giving up the 26 first. And he says, your package is nice. Thank you, sir. My girlfriend thinks so too. But the other offers I'm considering include 2 25 firsts and a QB or 3 total firsts. Fine. If we take Ladd and Hill out of the picture, could I add Dak? Nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving up my other. I want 3 quarterbacks, period. I'll add Hill. He was a waiver pickup. It's not, and I'm good on tight ends and quarterbacks, so I'm good. That's where I'm at. So here's the thing. This is the crux of why I'm doing this. I said we may not have anything right now, but I'm going to keep the offer open. If you don't work something else out, then come back to me. And this is the key. Whenever you're negotiating a trade with somebody and they're unwilling to move on what you have offered, and they're trying to add to it. They're trying to leverage you. They're trying to do all this stuff. Do not do anything. Walk away. Because if they are of the mindset that they're going to get this thing done, then they're going to come back to you. If they are just trying to work you, you don't want to do it anyway. So just walk away, because they're either going to come back with something that you're not willing to do, or they're going to capitulate and they're going to come back on your terms. So you walk away. I can't do that. We don't have anything right now, and that's fine. We don't have to make a trade. Whatever happens, happens. We can work something else out. So he comes back. It's offer I'm considering. Don't go away. When everybody else wakes up and see, then I'll know. We'll get it done before Thursday. I said, sounds good. And then I see what he has to offer. So he comes back. He's got Taysom Hill in there. He took Ladd McConkey out. That's fine. But he threw the 26 first back in there, and the 26 second, the 27 first. I'm not doing 3 first rounders. I said, I'm not doing it. Sorry. I can't over leverage myself. We're not going to get there. And then I countered him. I took that out. I added the 26 second. But before he could accept that, he sent me this, which took that 26 first out. Also took out another one, and I accepted immediately, because he offered that before he saw the one that I had sent. So I was even in position to offer him more than what ultimately we did.
Did he say anything about that?
He did not. It went through. Everybody talked about it. And so whether or not I overpaid for Josh Allen and Khalil Mack is not relevant. I can lose the trade. I'm totally fine with that. Josh Allen could break his leg next week. I can't believe I just put that into the universe. No, Khalil Mack could break his leg next week. Those draft picks could turn into Hall of Famers. All of that still remains. And I'm okay with it, because the point is, do not ever let anybody in trade negotiation try and over leverage you to the point where you're giving up more than you want just to get a deal done. You don't have to make the deal, especially if in your mind, whether you're right or wrong, it's a loss. Do not do it. It's totally okay to say, look, we don't have to do anything. I'm going to walk away, and maybe something can happen later on down the road, whatever. Don't burn your bridges. Don't call the person stupid for asking for too much or whatever. Just say, right now is not the time for this, and be willing to walk away. And that's how you win trades. So now DFK, I just went on for a while. I want to hear your interpretation. I want to hear what you have to say about everything that went down.
One of my first episodes I made was just a Dynasty 101. Not like I was the first one to create Dynasty, but what you just said, that's a part of Trade 101. It's like, and look, I may have had a career in sales before. And
Me too.
Negotiation, it's, you don't want to be the last one talking right, because you probably already lost the deal. Like, sometimes a healthy amount of just air is fine in some of these deals, because people are getting excited, and a lot of folks are coming from the mindset, whether they're consuming content or not, like, hey, I have to ask for more. I have to ask for more. But guys, we've seen some of these teams when they have no draft picks. That's how you lead to orphans. I will say I've still never been in a league that's folded, after over 10, 12 years. But that's the type of stuff that'll cripple a team, is if you just have no assets and stuff hits the fan. Now, in this case with Josh Allen, he just got a boost with Amari Cooper being added to the team. But like in some scenarios, guys, if you just wait a little bit, the next week the player could just have a down game, and you can get the price that you wanted before. So sometimes it's only just 1 week of waiting that you have to wait to get a better price, because ultimately there's going to be ups and downs all throughout the season. You just don't want to pay the high sticker price and just eat that, and you have really no room to win unless you just win the title. It basically is super all in, or you lost no matter what.
Right.
Yeah, and Josh Allen's quarterback 1. I like it. I like getting him on your team, man.
And part of it is, My dog just will not stop. Um, part of it, okay. So I am of the mindset that I don't have a problem with people shopping around. Now, obviously, this guy, he's in the bottom third of the league. He's attempting a rebuild, and he's trying to offload assets. And for a contender right now, well, for anybody, right now is a better time to acquire draft picks, and so what he's doing is great for him. He's looking to get himself back in, and he's going to have a ton of assets next year to try and do that. Um, all you have to do is look at somebody who drafted a combination of Brock Bowers, Jaden Daniels, and Malik Neighbors that was on the bottom in their league last year that is suddenly contending again, right? So he definitely is creating a path for himself to do that. So as much as I want to, like, take laps for like how good I did or whatever, he's doing a great thing too. That is how you acquire assets to move your team forward in a rebuilding. You take somebody who is that value, that Josh Allen, because if you take if you can wind up getting 3 draft picks for a high end asset like that, all of those can turn into something along the lines of another Josh Allen, right?
Yeah. You
So
really only need one of them to do that to break even.
right. So I've talked about the comparison of between Drake May and Josh Allen. What happens if over the next couple of years Drake May turns into Josh Allen, and somebody who gave up Josh Allen last year for that first or early second pick that turned into Drake May this year, that person is in a great spot. And so this, what this guy did is fantastic. He's rebuilding his team. He understands that now is the time to pick up those draft assets, because people are worried about their lineups. They're not worried about the next year's draft class if they're on contending teams. So that's when you strike, right? But the other thing is you want to set yourself up for being able to negotiate with people. And I'm always up for, if you have an offer that you're bringing to me, I don't have a problem with you shopping it. If you're going to find something better somewhere else, go do it, right? I'm not going to feel, well, we had a deal and he went and he did something else that benefits him more. I don't have a problem with that. And on this, by the same token, if I'm trying to shop somebody, I'm going to try and go around and get as many deals as possible. But if you know that somebody is doing that on the other side, or if somebody says that they're doing that on the other side, you don't know if they're doing that or not. So if they tell you that they are, approach it as if they're not. Approach it as if they're just trying to leverage you and say, oh, well, somebody else is offering me a little bit more than you, plus this other guy, and so I'm going to have to go that way. If they try and do that, then you put a stop to it and you say, fine, go take it. Because if they can do that, you didn't want to pay that much anyway. If they don't, then you're going to eventually get what you want. So don't be afraid to walk away. And if somebody tells you that they are in other negotiations or whatever, then just approach it as if they're just lying to you, right? even if they're not. But you just have to know what to do in that situation.
Yeah, man, because you got to worry about your numero uno team, right? And at the end of the day, there's only 11 trade partners in the 12-team league. You know the math, but that team is still kind of in a limited window of who they can shop with, right? So you know that as well. So if you look at the other teams and then half of them are tanking, then that means the other half, only half of the league is even interested in this person's pick. So it's even less than the other 11 guys. So it's a limited market for that person to really get, especially when you look around and like maybe people already leveraged their picks and they don't have the 2 first or the 3 first that they're trying to get. So all of that can be taken into account. And what I will say though is, if I'm the guy trading away Josh Allen, I mean, I don't blame the guy trying to get more, because the problem is, if I don't remember your record, but if it's a later pick, there's no guarantee they're getting the quarterback of the future for their team to replace Josh Allen. They're not in the Drake May spot. maybe
Right.
one of their picks is, so they use maybe their early first to get a quarterback, and then use yours to get a receiver or something like that. But if you're going to give away Josh Allen, have a plan to get another quarterback to replace him. That's all I'll say for that guy.
So we are the top three. We are all 12-2.
Okay, congrats.
And
And you're
and then
making moves. Now you're going to be undefeated the rest of the way.
I'm slightly down in points. I face number 2 next week.
Yeah, that could be a little separation week for y'all there.
Yeah, and I face number 2 next week. So,
All right.
And one of the big things is that Josh Allen is going to be playing against Seattle, and Goff is against Tennessee. So the fact that I can swap out now Jared Goff, who Tennessee is, they're
been good.
They're good. So
Yeah.
I know in Dynasty we tend to like think long term, but in the short term, like just for like this next week, Jared Goff is going to have some trouble against Tennessee.
It's Allen either way. I'm starting him either way. Forget the
yeah,
matchup.
yeah.
Awesome. Good move, man.
Allen
Crushed
and
it.
Dak.
That was a lot. See your draft picks.
Yeah, and I'm usually the guy that just like I want all the draft assets I can possibly get. So for me
you do
to
all
give
the
up
scouting anyway, so you're like, I want to use it.
yeah. So for me to give up a package that's like more than 2 or 3 draft picks, especially if it's multiple firsts, that's really, really hard for me. I don't do that very often.
Yeah.
Because even with a team that's successful, now we the way that this league runs, it doesn't go. Next year's draft picks won't go reverse order by. It'll go reverse order by regular season record. The playoffs and championship don't have anything to do with it. So if you finish first, and then go out in round 1, you still have number 12. If you're the 6th team in and you win, you still have your pick 7. So
that's how my home league is. Yep.
If I can rise in the standings and turn those picks that I just gave up into the 12s, then I'm even happier about it. So
that's why you wore the hat. Now we know why you wore the hat. Hella proud of that trade.
No, I'm Sacramento proud. It's King season.
Yeah.
Just so and I know that the word proud, it's a King's hat. It's Sacramento proud. There are no other connotations of proud out there. Sometimes I feel really apprehensive about wearing this hat just because over the last, I don't know, since 2016, the word proud has taken on a different meaning, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea.
Okay. No, I didn't even think about that, but
good.
No, I think your tag is like hella NorCal too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them. Because hella came from
Cali.
NorCal.
Yeah. There you go. It's a Cali thing, guys.
It's a whole thing. All right. So let's go with our bad beats and good wins. Who do you got this week? What was your closest loss? And what win are you most proud of?
Yeah, man. Another crazy week, man. So closest loss, or so you said closest loss?
Closest loss, bad beat.
Man. Yeah, there was my first loss. My first loss. I don't have any razor thumbs this week. My closest one actually was in my first loss in the league. Which who cares? You're gonna get some losses. It's a YouTuber league, but just for the NFL teams only, not a fantasy league. So they're not all super into fantasy like that. But anyway, I did lose. Jaden Daniels goes down with the broken ribs. I lose this matchup, and it was just the one concern a lot of people had in the offseason was, can he stay healthy? And it only took till week 7 for him to go down. Now, the way he got up and still was able to, put his helmet on his head which is heavier than the football. Like he didn't seem to be wincing. I think he could actually be fine, but it's a rookie. They may stay, be cautious with him for the next week. But anyway, uh, yeah, I lost. It looks like I lost by 10 points. I definitely would have cleared that if I had Jaden Daniels. Also had a down week from Kamara and Pollard, who both had 8 points. Tyreek Hill, I don't think I've benched him yet, but I'm not going to
Wow.
start because Tua comes back this week. So, but Hill got me 2 points. That was great. And Neighbors also 8 points. So a lot of guys with 8 points. Amari Cooper was my best performer. So yeah, pretty brutal week. At least I have George Kittle. But yeah, man.
Just like everybody predicted going into the season.
Yeah.
My worst, my bad beat, my worst loss in the fishbowl. I was a playoff team. I had a bad week last year from Jared Goff, and then TJ Hawkinson got hurt when I was in the playoffs. Just barely missed the third round of the playoffs. This year, I was 0-10. Finally got my first 2 wins last week. Back on the losing track this week. I'm now down to 2-12. I fortunately avoided being the lowest scoring team in our league by less than a point. A couple weeks ago, I was bottom 62. And that same week, the lowest, not for weekly scoring, for overall season scoring, I was bottom 62. So I'm back down there again. The worst one, actor Josh Lucas, voice of Home Depot. So that's fun. But I had Rashad White on the bench, and his 30 points. I had Chris Boswell and his 22 on the bench. And Marvin Mims I had on the bench. I had Josh Downs in. Ramondre got me 5.75 points. DeMario did nothing. Deontay Johnson 3. So yeah, that was bad. In addition of my 3 underdog plays this weekend, every single one of them was voided by injury. One was Jaden Daniels, one was Mike Evans, and one I want to say was Brandon Ayuk. So I got all my buy-ins back, but yeah. All right, so
a lot of injuries, man. This has been a rough week,
right? So what was your most proud win?
Well, I'm gonna do 2,
Okay.
but one is a special shout out to my wife because she had a dilemma because she had Justin Fields in her lineup coming into Sunday in her league that she's the commissioner of. Their league is called We Don't Know Diddley because they didn't know anything at first, but they've been doing it a few years now, and they've been going to Vegas for drafts, so they know a little bit more than Diddley now. But I said, hey, how about you pick up Russell Wilson and put him in your lineup and drop Justin Fields? And she did, and he was the number 1 quarterback on the week. Well, I guess behind Lamar the very next day. But number 2 or number 3, whatever, crushed it for her. So that was awesome. And in another league I'm in with the Fantasy Football Show, he's on YouTube. Check him out. I played against the first-time champ, Ricky Hernandez, and beat him by, looks like, 12. And I had Lamar Jackson versus your Josh Allen. Lamar 33, Josh Allen 21. So that was nice. But also Saquon Barkley in a revenge game, who was just short of his career yardage, but apparently decided to let the backups rookies get some run just to develop because the game was already in hand. So shout out to Barkley, but he balled out for me. And also a guy who, like, it is what it is. Joe Mixon's on there and he's still crushing. So yeah, man, I was in the Super Bowl last year, lost, and I feel like my team's ready to roll. So yeah, shout out to Lamar. He might get a back-to-back MVP here, but he's crushing it for me. Audio.
Oh, I didn't even mute myself. Will Shipley got 8 carries?
Yeah, because Barkley he literally said, I want to let the young guys develop. So he could have broke his record, but just sat back.
You know my very famous Will Shipley quote, right?
No.
He's Jahmyr Gibbs without the draft capital. Seriously. like
Yeah.
profile. He's a little bit bigger, but same profile, and he was a fourth rounder, not a first rounder, or whatever, wherever he went
They
fourth round,
love
I
their
think.
Kenny Gainwell. This could be their future Gainwell.
I spent 2 years, 3 years, yelling that Gainwell should be the RB1 in Philly. Before a couple years ago, I stopped. We're talking like the Miles Sanders years. I mean, it. I waited on Gainwell for a long time. I love his profile, and I wish he was the feature back. But now, like, I love Will Shipley so much. He is Jahmyr Gibbs without the draft capital.
All
All
right,
right.
Doctor Year.
And shout out to your wife. I started a new job last week, and one of my buddies came in to kind of show me how to close out and everything. And he was like, "This is my team. I'm in last place. What should I do?" And so I helped him restructure his team,
Yeah.
and Russell Wilson was part of that.
Yeah.
Um,
So
all
nice
right,
little, little
my
grab there.
most proud moment of the week. Normally when I sign off on podcasts, I say I hope you win, and the last couple of weeks I've started like identifying opponents in leagues that are important to me, and so I'll say unless your name is so and so so and so, I hope you win, right? So all last week, my home league commissioner, unless your name is blah 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 or Sean Murphy, I hope you win. I'm playing Sean Murphy. He's the two-time defending champion in our home league. He's our home league commissioner, and I haven't beat him in a couple years. I am the constant rebuilder. If I went and if I made a team of all of the guys that I've traded away, it would be like Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver. I mean, it's ridiculous the assets that I've had over the years that if I had just kept a hold of, I would probably win a lot. But I just go through that draft pick churn because I love it.
Yeah.
And even though this is the highest buy-in that I'm a part of, it's also the most fun league and the one that I care about winning the least. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
We're our own worst enemy.
I do care about winning, but I care more about picking George Pickens with the 101 in the rookie draft, just for shits and giggles. So this week I go up against Sean Murphy. I have Jaden Daniels in at quarterback. I have Brock Bowers in, Malik Neighbors. I was not sure what I should do at running back, so I threw in Kamani Vidal as my running back too. Jaden Daniels goes out, gets me 5 points. Deontay Johnson 2.7. I just made a trade for him. Paulson Adebo, I just went out and picked him up for the defensive back IDP spot. So to start off my week, I watched Paulson Adebo get broken and pulled out on a cart, and I'm like,
Okay, I was about to say, but like I'm still not all in on the defense. I was like, I could have sworn he's injured.
yeah. So
Oh
that
man,
that
brutal.
was the start of the week. Was that Thursday night game?
Yeah.
And so I left Njoku on my bench, but I had Brock Bowers. I left Pickens on my bench. Beat him by 6 points. He's in
Nice.
shambles right now. Two-time defending
2 years.
champion.
2 years you haven't beat him.
It's been a while. It's been a
Wow.
while.
Well, congrats,
Uh,
man.
yeah. So and he and I act together. We're in a sketch troupe. We just had a performance on Saturday. So we've been like driving to rehearsals for the last couple months,
Yeah.
and so this week was Saturday. We got together and went
Yeah.
and did our performance in Sacramento, and then the next morning we were was the Sunday of our matchup, and so we were chattering about it as I was getting out of his car after our performance was done. And he was like, I cannot lose to you.
Oh, even sweeter. It felt
Because
even sweeter after that.
it dropped him to eighth in the league. It's a 10
Oh.
team league, but it dropped him to eighth. And he's going through what I went through for the first few years. He is right now he's fourth in scoring, but he's first in points allowed.
Of course. The
So
dreaded
maybe
most points against.
this is the year I convince him to do the median scoring.
Yeah. Do whatever you got to do, man. I don't have that in any of my leagues, but I understand it. Has he leveraged all his picks already? or is he still at?
He had been doing that for a couple years.
Yeah, because when you're in first place, a lot of times it happen, and some people don't see when their time to shine is over, and they don't fix that course correct in time.
Yeah, he's looking at 3 seconds this year.
Oh, okay, yeah, so it's not horrible, but no first, so he does not want to be tanking right now.
He doesn't have a first until 27, and then he's got two.
Oh, yeah, so he does not want that. And there are two players on your team you mentioned. I know we want to get out of here in the next five, but can I ask you about a trade I did for your
Sure.
boy Brock Bowers? And this is a crazy trade for anybody who's listening. So y'all roast me if you want. So I give up Brian Thomas Jr., everyone's love child now, who I've been on thanks to the Phenom Finder. And I gave Sam Laporta for one Brock Bowers. And it's a league where I would say, look, there's two flexes. You only have to start two wide receivers. So at max, you start four receivers. I've got a Malik Neighbors, a Jaden Reed. I've got a DJ Moore. I've got a IR Nico Collins. I've got some other guys. I have your Deontay Johnson and Zay Flowers on this team. I've got some receiver depth. So I did give up that elite BTJ plus a Sam Laporta, who I'm moving off of Sam Laporta just to get to Bowers. It's a tight end premium. And Brock Bowers happens to have his best game the day. It was actually yesterday morning or Sunday morning I did the trade. So right before the games, I just threw him in the lineup. Brock Bowers, 14 targets, 10 catches, his best day of his career, 93 yards. For tight end premium, I felt like he might be the only guy that can pull this off right now, because the way that Sam Laporta is being used in that offense, he's not being used as a primary target in that offense. There's not many tight ends being used as the focal point of the offense. Yes, there's a banged up Jacoby Myers, but Devontae Adams is gone. In the offseason, I was saying the only thing holding back Brock Bowers is the black hole of targets that is Devontae Adams. So at that point, when he's gone, it's just wheels up for Brock Bowers. But that's me overselling it. How bad did I do giving up all that value for Brock Bowers?
So there's not. I'm just running through these trade calculators real quick. Dynasty process is your closest. Keep trade cut is your closest. ADP Daddy is based on real time moves. That's your furthest away. That's your biggest overpay. They want you to include getting back a Purdy, Saquon, early first, or Etienne.
Yeah, so huge overpay.
Dynasty process seems to be the most accurate. They want you to get back an Etienne, Kyron, or Jaden Reed. And then keep trade cut, everybody knows that one. You're looking at an Audric Estime, Alexander Madison, Jerome Ford. So that's your closest one. So keep trade cut is your, but here's the thing. A lot of these trade calculators and the environment in general is still on the name of Sam Laporta and not the performance of Sam Laporta. They're not accounting for his change in that offense and what has been happening. And a bunch of people last night with Jameson Williams being suspended were saying, "Oh, Sam Laporta." No, it's not going to affect Sam Laporta.
It's 2 games. Yeah.
When Jameson Williams was going off, Sam Laporta wasn't doing much. When Jameson Williams disappeared, Sam Laporta wasn't doing much. So I don't think that's going to change much.
Yeah. Well, I asked you for your biased Bowers take, so that's why I asked you. But in reality, though, 2 targets for Sam Laporta this week, so that's what I could have had in my lineup, 4 points total, or one target the previous game. He's had a maximum 5 targets in any game this season. Bowers, that's not even close to his floor. He's been crushing that.
Right. So this is another good lesson in dynasty trading. And that is, there is market value and then there is value to you. The way I look at it,
I'm the first place team for what it's worth.
I found at a certain point when I was young, I found a 1968 Nolan Ryan rookie card.
Okay.
And I was about 13, and I went to a baseball card shop because they used to have those, and the Beckett guide said absolute value was $180, $120, and the guy at the card shop offered me $80. Now I'm young, and $80 to me at the time was like, whoo, this is a fortune, right? And within the next 5 or 10 years, that card was worth a couple grand. Now, the market value is one thing. The personal value was totally another thing. That $80 to me was more than what $120 was to somebody who was like an adult collector or whatever. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Especially in a tight end premium, yes, the market says that Sam Laporta and Brian Thomas Jr. for Brock Bowers is an overpay. But on the other hand, you're getting somebody who would be a wide receiver 4 in this rookie class. You're getting somebody at a tight end premium position. You're getting somebody that's the focal point of an offense, similar to Travis Kelce, but with a 12-year window of production. And somebody who is just, I mean, he's an absolute asset. So whatever he's worth to you changes what the market is worth. So the market might say that you overpaid. But if you feel that it's a valuable enough asset that, you know, you can afford to let go Sam Laporta and Brian Thomas Jr., then you win the trade.
All right. Thanks for making me feel better about it. So I'm going to go win this league now. Thanks, man.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we're going to get out of here. We will see you next week at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern, and have a great week.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.